Hey guys and gals, Insomnia from UnrealTech.net, a division of BlenderTech.com here, and today I'm going to show you how to bake texture maps in Substance Painter to use in other programs, as well as having them for use in your project for generators, masks, smart materials, and the like in Substance Painter. We'll also go through how to set up a new project and we'll move forward from there. So once again, remember, create your way, grab some popcorn, and let's get started. I've gone ahead and quickly remodeled a model I'm designing for a futuristic prop set, and I've made it much more simple and changed its looks a lot, and I will post a link to the FBX in the description if you want to follow along it exactly. If you're not following along exactly, however, I wanted to start off with texture baking because it is something that Substance Painter does really well that you might just use it for. Alone. So we're going to go File, New to make a new project, and it's going to ask us for a mesh. So we're going to hit Select, and so I'm going to select my tutorial version here, and that is that. It's going to ask you for normal map format, DirectX or OpenGL. That just really sets the green channel to plus or minus Y, and you can change it later. Document resolution, again, this can be changed at any time without loss. I'm going to work at 1024 since this is fairly low to mid poly, but because I'm recording. So all we got to do is hit OK, and it will import our mesh. And as we went over in the last videos, we have our controls and such. And I've set this project up so that we have, remember I told you about the solo button, we have the hoses and this top set up separately. We have main body, so that's the main body. Oh, there's some gaps in there. The main body, this little piece, and the actual pump, and the screen and pump. So this would be the display screen that will be texturing. As you can see, it's not perfectly modeled. I really went through this quick. And the little hose holder thing. So I'm going to turn it back on all. I'm going to turn the environmental opacity down to 0. And I'm also going to turn shadows onto main. And that should work. Yeah, I'm happy enough with that. So that's a little bit slow. Maybe we'll turn shadows off. Yeah, okay. So to bake textures, all you have to do, remember we have our texture settings up here, and this is our stock texture set, base color, height, which gets turned into a normal map and a height map, roughness and metallic. And if we want to, we can add more textures. For example, in this project, I'm going to want an emissive for glowing stuff. So I'm going to add an emissive layer so that we can paint with emissiveness as well. So to bake textures, all you do is you hit this Bake Textures button. And we have world, world space normal, ID, ambient occlusion, curvature, position, and thickness. Now, normal, world space normal, and ambient occlusion are the only maps that you would really use outside of this software, except for really extreme cases where you're doing really complicated materials. However, all of these will be used for the materials and generators and masks and stuff that we will be using throughout this tutorial series, so we will need them all. The output size, when I'm working just in Substance Painter, I like to do 1024 or 248, but when you go for output, you probably, it depends on your prop size, of course, always, your mesh size, like how it's going to look in game, or if it's a render. If it's a render, you're going to want full quality, obviously, so you would want to rebake it later at a higher quality. Or if you're only baking the texture maps and not doing any paint, then you would want to choose a higher size. But I'm going to do it at 1024 by 1024, 1K, and I'm going to change the dilation width to 2. Now, all we need to do is import our high definition mesh. So we just hit this little new file or new page button, and we're going to import the exact same mesh because we are working from high poly to high poly. We're not working from high poly to low poly, although this is a way you can do it. Anti-aliasing, we're just going to set 2 by 2. It won't make much of a difference because I'm using this more so for in the program, and where we don't need a cage or anything. And so all the options are pretty good stock. In the ambient occlusion, if you want higher quality, you can set the secondary rays higher. I'm going to warn you, that will make it take way longer to bake, however. And other than that, that is about it. So after that, you just hit bake textures, and since this one's, like I said, pretty low poly, it'll go, and since we don't have super high ray counts, it'll go pretty fast. And they'll pop up in our textures panel. They'll also pop up under additional maps here, and they'll show up on our export options. So first of all, I'm just quickly going to show you why we do this first, and then I'm going to show you how to export it if you weren't using Substance Painter for painting. There you go. You can see we have our normal, we have our world space normal, we have our ID, we have our ambient occlusion, we have our curvature, position, and thickness, and they've shown up in our textures list here. So as you can see, it does a really good job of it. Really nice, clean AO map and normal map and such. So yeah, if we were going to use a smart material or something, let's say I was going to just apply the machinery, one of my favorite stocks to this, stock ones, you will see that it looks pretty darn great. That is because it has all these maps to work off of. If we go into here and we turn off all of that, I should have done this first, but if we turn all of this off, you'll see that it basically, yeah, it looks okay, but it doesn't look great. So that's why you really need those input maps. And yeah, you can play with just the color to get the effect, but having the maps makes it really mesh, what would you call it? Mesh dependent, maybe, I guess you could say. So I'm just going to quickly re-add those maps. So we can go ahead and we can quickly, I'm just going to throw this back up. We can quickly throw it on the other two. Machinery, and like I said, it'll automatically pick them out, except for I forgot to tell you that you need to bake them for every single material. Totally forgot about that. So this will be a good example. So this is what it looks like with just throwing the smart material on there with no input maps or no tweaking. But when we go to bake textures, you will see. So we're going to do the exact same thing. Just this time, it's for main body instead of screen and pump. So we will bake textures. It was a bit faster this time because that had less polys. And you should see the difference pretty severely. You can see how much better that looks immediately because it has the maps now to work with. So we will go ahead to hoses and do it one last time. Bake textures and bake. So now that that's done, all we have to do is throw our machinery layer on, and there we have it. Done, done, done deal. You could even throw rubber on it, because technically it's like a rubber layer, although we would want to mask it out later because you would want the this little part of the body, you would want it to be different looking, but not bad, not bad. And in fact, the screen and pump, I would probably do something like, I think there's a visor one here. Where are you? Glass visor. Yeah, that would look a lot better probably without any masking. So kind of cool looking. I don't think it has any, oh yeah, it has some emissiveness, so it's kind of cool looking for stock anyways. Once we get some decals and stuff on there, it'll really start looking good. But that will be in another video. So okay, now that we have all of our textures baked, I'm just gonna save this. So I'm just gonna call this futuristic gas pump tutorial. So we have all these textures for each of our materials, and so we want to export them to use in an external program. That's the basis of this video. So all we do is we go to export textures. And so we have our texture sets: hoses, main body, screen, and pump. However, it's gonna output what we wanted here: the height, roughness, metallic, normal, base color, whatever you choose here. You know, emissive, normal, roughness, metallic, base color. So what we would want to do instead is go to configuration, and we would want to make a new preset, and we could call this, let's just call it baked maps. And we have input maps, and we have converted maps, and we have mesh maps. So we're going to work with mesh maps. Our input maps are what we are actually painting, but our mesh maps are what we baked. So we want AO, obviously. So we want AO can be just a grayscale, actually, I believe. Ambient occlusion, where do you go? Right on there. From ambient occlusion, the gray channel. And if we wanted, we could throw something like the ID into, if we went RGB alpha, sorry, delete that, we could put the ambient occlusion in here, and we could put something like any of the other ones in the alpha channel if we really wanted. But I'm not going to. I'm just going to use an RGB layer, I guess, and ambient occlusion from the gray channel, and that output maps. I don't exactly remember how to name these, so I have to copy this just so that I can remember. So we have mesh will be replaced with this, and then underscore texture set, so that'll be our material, and then we'll have what map, so this will be AO. So let's add another one. We want a normal, so that'll be an RGB. So let's do an RGB and drag in our normal. We want our RGB channels, and we'll call that norm. We'll add another RGB, and we'll do, and we'll take out the, whoa, something's lagging. Let's, Chrome apparently. Let's take the world space normal, take its RGB channels, and we'll call this, come on, world space norm. Sometimes that can be useful, and that is really all I can think that people would usually want to use. So let's, we got that saved now. I believe that was saved, so we can now, whoops, we can now go to configuration and baked maps. You'll see it's now going to put out an ambient occlusion normal and world space normal for all of them, and we can up it to say 2K if we wanted. And we baked them at 1K though, so it wouldn't really matter in that case. This would only matter for painted stuff. So you want to output it at what you baked it at. You can choose the file format here. PNG is pretty standard. I do like using TGA Targa when I want to combine multiple channels together, but PNG does it too, so pretty good. And it's got a good lossless compression size, so you just choose somewhere for it to export. So let's go new folder. We'll call this futuristic gas pump tutorial. We'll make a new folder. Whoa, new folder called baked maps. Select folder, and then just hit export. And we'll let it do its thing. Export completed successfully. Open folder. And so we now have all of our nice maps. And so we could go in and we could use these immediately in a program. So what I've done is I've imported it into Unreal Engine, of course, my favorite, and we have materials applied, but no base, or just a base color, just a basic white, like a Lambert, I guess you would call it. And so we'll just quickly, I've imported the textures too, we'll just quickly show how this can be used. So I'll create 2 new textures in each of the materials, or 2 new texture inputs, texture, and texture, and so we will select main body, AO, and body norm. So we will connect that up to normal and ambient occlusion. You can see how that's adding some detail already. We'll save that. Screen and pump. So this is we'll go pump screen, maybe pump screen. Yep. AO and oops, screen pump norm. So that'll be normal. That'll be AO. Save that. And hoses. So we got, let's see here, hoses. Yep, hoses AO and hoses norm. So we got ambient occlusion and we've got normal. And save that. And then once it's done, if we go back and let it refresh, come on, do your thing. Maybe we'll reopen it. Maybe there's just not much details to see because of because there's no base color. But either way, as you can see, we can use them totally in any program you want. Yeah, there's some ambient occlusion in there. Normal details, I'm not so sure. I guess you could call that normal details, although it shouldn't be there, but regardless, it's totally usable without having to use Substance Painter for painting. You can use it for baking just like that. Yeah, the handle shows some AO in there. Pretty low resolution, but it works for 13,000 triangles. So yeah, that is that. So on the advice of a couple of people, I'm now accepting donations for my tutorials at www.paypal.me/BlenderTech. That's Blender TEK. So thanks for watching from the team here at Unreal Tech, a division of BlenderTech.com. If you enjoyed this video and learned something, please like it. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos. We're on social media on the links on your screen. If you dislike this video for some reason, please tell us why so we can continually improve based on your community input. We also take requests, so we'll see you next time. Remember, create your way.